You've probably already watched a few videos about Fiction Profits Academy. Maybe you've seen the reviews, you've read some comments, you've done a little digging. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's still a question that you haven't been able to fully answer. Does this actually work? I get it. There are a lot of programs out there promising big things. Most of them give you a library of videos, a Facebook group, and then send you off on your own. And then you're left wondering why nothing is moving. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through FPA from the inside and what's actually in it, how it works, who it's built for, and who it's genuinely not for. By the end, you'll be able to make a real informed decision. Fiction Profits Academy has been around since 2015, and we've served over 16,000 students. On Trustpilot, we sit at 4.7 stars across more than 2,600 reviews. We've been featured in USA Today, Forbes, Maxim, Women's First, Tech Times, and more than 30 other publications. So this system has been tested, refined, and proven over more than a decade. It's not just a course that gives you a library of videos and then sends you off on your way. FPA is a mentorship program. You get the structure and the support to actually apply what you've learned with real coaches, real feedback, and a real community around you. The program runs on 3 pillars. The training program, which gives you the knowledge, live coaching structure, where you get personalized guidance, and the community, which makes the whole journey sustainable when things feel hard or isolating. And before I get into the training, you probably want to know what's possible for you to achieve with it in the first place. Now, I can't promise you anything because at the end of the day, it all depends on you. But Nick was my very first student, and within just a few months of working through the system, he was generating $10K a month in royalties. He eventually left his job in finance. Now he gets to work from home and spend time with his family. And then there's Jillian. She crossed that same 10K monthly mark within a few months and then just kept going. Almost every few months, she broke her own record. She did so well that she's now one of the coaches inside FPA, teaching other students the exact system that she used to build her own business. They're the people who showed me early on that what I'd figured out was teachable, that other people could follow the same steps and get somewhere real. And that's what we've been building on ever since. The training is where it all begins. So right now, it has dozens of training videos built and refined over several years. Students have lifetime access, and the platform is always being updated. When Amazon changes something, which it does from time to time, the training changes with it. So the course is organized into 6 modules. Module 1, getting started. So before you spend a single dollar on your KDP business, Module 1 gets you oriented. There's a publishing roadmap that shows you the full picture of what you're building, from your first lead magnet all the way through to a catalog that earns royalties consistently. And just seeing the whole picture laid out clearly can make the whole thing feel doable for the first time. There's choose your path training because not everyone comes in the same way. Some people have a little time and a little money, and some have more of one than the other. This training helps you figure out which path makes sense for where you actually are, not where you wish you were. There's a walkthrough of how to use the course itself so nothing feels confusing or overwhelming. And there's a mindset and goal setting module. And that might sound like a nice extra, but it's actually essential. So I've coached thousands of students, and I can tell you, the people who struggle in this business are the ones who never got clear on what they're building or why. Or they have a belief sitting in the background telling them this probably won't work for them. So Module 1 addresses all of that immediately so it doesn't sabotage you later. And by the end of Module 1, you know where you're going, you know how to use the program, and your head is in the right place to actually follow through. So Module 2. Module 2 is where you learn how to build a book that's designed to sell from the start. So it starts with the lead magnet. This is a shorter free book that you publish before your first paid book. You give it away in exchange for email addresses. That email list is what you'll launch when your real book is ready. And without an email list, you're dependent entirely on Amazon's algorithm noticing you, which could be a hit or miss. But with a list, you control your own launch momentum. So from there, you'll learn how to pick a profitable niche. So not a niche that you like, but a niche that readers are actively buying in. Those are not always the same thing, and the difference matters a lot. Then you get into tropes. So tropes are the story elements that readers in specific genres actively search for. Things like enemies to lovers, billionaires, single dad, second chance romance. They're the language that readers use to find books that they want. Once you understand tropes, you'll stop guessing what to write and start publishing books that match what the market is already looking for. And we teach you how to stack tropes so your book shows up in more searches at once. There's also called the FPA Secret Writing Formula. This is the story structure framework that guides the books that our students publish. It's about having a consistent, repeatable structure underneath every book so that your output stays at a high quality. Then there's the AI section. We cover Fiction Pub for story outlining. We do developmental editing in AI using Claude, using ChatGPT. You can write a full book with AI, and we even have a dedicated training on writing steamy scenes with AI as well. These tools can save you serious time and money, and when you use them the wrong way, you get low quality content that doesn't pass reader expectations. So we show you how to actually use AI tools the right way. And then there's hiring. This is the part that most people come in completely unprepared for. So most FPA students have never hired a freelancer in their life, which is fine, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. The wrong way is how beginners lose money and end up with a book that doesn't represent their brand. So we walk you through how to post the job correctly, what screening questions to ask to filter out writers who aren't right for your niche, and how to use milestone payments so you're reviewing work in stages and releasing money only after you've approved each piece. Then there's a separate training on hiring editors because they're a different role than writers. Treating them as interchangeable is one of the most common mistakes that new publishers make. It costs you in reviews later. We also cover building your team as a whole, because once you're publishing consistently, you're not just managing books, you're managing people, and that's a completely different skill and one that we prepare you for. Then there's the 350 book case study. This is a real documented example of a book being made start to finish on a beginner's budget. So you see exactly where the money went, what was hired out, and what the finished product looked like. It takes the whole module out of theory and into something that you can actually picture yourself doing. And now with AI, you can write for next to nothing, so you can even spend less than that $350. By the end of Module 2, you know what your first book is going to be, you know who's going to write it, or if you're going to use AI to write it, and if you do use a writer, you know how to hire them without getting burned. Now, a great book with weak packaging will get scrolled past every time, and that's why Module 3 is where you'll learn how to turn your book into a marketable product. We start with your author brand, your pen name, your visual identity, the overall feel of your publishing business. So these decisions might seem small at first, but they compound. So pen name and brand that fits your niche creates reader recognition. Then there's the cover. Your cover is doing sales work before a single reader reads a single word. A reader browsing Amazon is pattern matching constantly. They've read dozens of books in your niche. They know what a book they want to read looks like. And if your cover doesn't match their pattern, they just keep scrolling. So Module 3 includes a full cover research training and a separate cover design training. So you'll learn how to study the bestsellers in your niche, identify what their covers have in common, and brief your designer to match those patterns. After the cover, we get into the blurb, which is a sales description. So a good blurb takes someone who is casually browsing and turns them into a buyer. So a weak blurb loses them even after a great cover got their attention. You'll learn the FPA Secret Blurb Writing Formula, and we give you versions of both first-person romance and third-person niches like mystery and thriller, because the approach is different. We also include live blurb rewrites so you can watch the process in action and not just read about it. A coach takes a real student blurb, breaks it down exactly what isn't working and why, and rewrites it in real time. And watching that happen once teaches you more than reading a formula 3 times. Titles and subtitles also get dedicated training because your title is not just a name. So done right, it signals tropes, it attracts click, and works as its own piece of marketing. Done wrong, it's invisible. And then there's formatting, where you learn how to make the interior of your book look professional and clean, because a bad reading experience shows up in reviews, and reviews affect everything downstream. By the end of Module 3, your book doesn't just exist, it's packaged to compete. This module sets up the infrastructure that most beginners rush through or skip entirely, and then they wonder why their launch didn't work. It covers setting up your KDP account, your website, your domain, book funnel for delivering your lead magnet, MailerLite for managing your email list, Book Clicker for newsletter swaps, and Canva for your logo and brand assets. But setting all this up is only half the module. The other half is about actually using it strategically, and that starts with growing your list. There's a full training dedicated specifically to getting from 0 to that first 1,500 to 2,000 subscribers as fast as possible. So it's a sequenced approach that students use to build real list momentum before their first launch, because 1,500 to 2,000 subscribers is the threshold you need to make a launch profitable. And with a list that size, you have enough people for newsletter swaps, shops, enough for a review team, and enough to signal to Amazon on launch day that your book has traction. Without it, you're starting cold. Then there's the email training. So you'll learn how to actually write and send emails to your list. So the templates, the cadence, how to warm up a new list, how to write a launch email that gets readers to buy the day your book goes live. So the students that built their list first, set up their tools right, and learned how to email their readers, those are the ones with launch weeks that actually move. Module 4 is how you make sure that you're in that group. Module 5 is where everything you've built gets put to work. It covers keywords and categories, which are how Amazon's search engine finds your book and connects it to readers. So you'll learn how to upload your book to KDP, set up Author Central, which is your author page on Amazon, which builds legitimacy and helps readers follow you for future releases, and the full book launch plan. There's also dedicated training on getting reviews, publishing paperbacks, and building box sets once you have a catalog. The launch plan section in particular is detailed and sequential. It shows you exactly how to use your email list to execute newsletter swaps through BookClicker, how to time your launch week, and what to do in the 30 days after you go live to optimize for continued visibility. This is where theory becomes execution. Module 6 is for students who have already published their first books and want to scale what's working. So it starts with how to think about your publishing business as a pipeline, meaning a catalog of books that compounds on itself, where each new book that you add doesn't just earn on its own. It also pushes more readers toward everything that you've already published. You'll understand the math behind that and why the model only really starts to pay off once you have a few books working together. It changes how you see the whole business. And from there, the module goes into paid advertising. There are 3 separate trainings that take you from ad budget basics through analyzing your results all the way to an advanced ad strategy. And there's also a dedicated training on running Facebook ads specifically for growing your email list, which is a different objective than running ads to sell books directly. You'll learn advanced paid promotion, a back catalog strategy for generating royalties from books you've already published, the launch failure checklist for diagnosing why a launch underperformed, and a tracking system for managing your books and your expenses as your catalog grows. I tell students not to touch Module 6 until they have at least 3 books published and their organic model is working. So paid advertising amplifies what's already working well. It doesn't fix what isn't working. So on top of the 6 modules, we have live coaching calls. So every group coaching call that happens live gets recorded and it's published. And if a student misses a session, they don't miss the content. So you'll see real questions from real students answered live by the coaching team. So some examples are blurbs getting workshopped, launch problems worked through, niche decisions, or maybe ghostwriter issues, and the full range of what actually comes up in this business. The longer you're in the program, the more useful these coaching calls will be for you. So this is a full case study walking you through what a 7-figure publishing business actually looks like. The decisions made, the publishing pipeline, the math behind it. It's a real look at what this model looks like as scale. So you understand not just where you're starting, but where the system can take you if you stay in it and keep building. Now, the training platform is what makes FPA a course, but the coaching is what makes it a mentorship. And there's a lot of it. Our live group coaching calls run Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. So students come with real questions about their real businesses, and a coach works through them live. Blurbs get rewritten in real time with the coach reading it out loud, breaking down what isn't working and showing the student exactly why the new version is stronger. Niche decisions get pressure tested. Launch problems get diagnosed. Writer issues, keyword strategy, cover feedback, all of it happens on these calls in front of the whole group. So when you watch another student's blurb get rewritten live, you learn something that you couldn't have learned from a video. You see the thinking behind the edit. You start to recognize the same patterns in your own work. Over time, the calls become less about getting answers and more about sharpening your judgment. So 5 days a week means you are never more than 1 day away from a real answer to a real question. And that's the difference between stalling for a week and moving forward by the next morning. Beyond the group calls, you also get 4 personal one-on-one coaching calls. This is your exclusive time with a coach who focuses entirely on your situation. So you get expert advice and guidance on your specific books, your specific niche, and your specific challenges. There's no rigid schedule for these, so you use them when you need them most. And some students use one before their first launch. Others save a call for when they're ready to start running ads. That way, the coaching call meets you where you are in your business. And the coaches doing these calls are actual publishers who built their own businesses using this exact system. mean, you've already heard about Jillian Wrights. So when you bring a problem to a call, you're not getting generic advice from someone who learned this from a textbook. You're talking to someone who has been in your exact situation. They know what it feels like to be stuck on a blurb at midnight or watch a launch underperform, and they know what actually fixes it. Monday through Friday during business hours, students can also reach out to us through email. So you get access to our real team and real answers to questions if you need a response before the next live call, but you don't need a full coaching session to resolve. The Facebook community. Now, community is one of those words that gets thrown around in online programs and ends up meaning very little sometimes. Publishing can be a lonely business. Most students doing this have nobody in their day-to-day life who understands what they're building. Their friends and family might think it sounds interesting, but they have no idea what a BSR is, or why a newsletter swap matters, or why a blurb rewrite at 11 p.m. feels urgent. The Facebook group is where you find the people who do get it. It's where you post a question at 10 p.m. and someone has a real answer by the morning. It's where you share a win and the people celebrating with you actually understand what that win costs you to get. It's also where students who aren't ready to jump on a live call yet can still get answers and stay connected and keep learning. Some people do a significant portion of their learning through the group. That's completely fine, and it's there for exactly that. Now, FPA is a real program with a real track record, but it's not for everyone. FPA is not a passive income machine that runs itself from day one. Building a publishing catalog takes time, consistency, and a willingness to learn and keep going. The students who have gone on to generate meaningful royalties are the ones who kept publishing. They didn't put out 2 books, decide it wasn't working, and quit. They stayed in it. It's not a writing course. The vast majority of FPA students never write their own books. They either write with AI or they hire ghostwriters and manage those ghostwriters. And they think like publishers, which is a different skill set entirely. You don't need to be a writer. You need to be someone who can run a business. And it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. I've been building this for over 10 years. I've seen every version of overnight success come and go in this space. What actually works is building a catalog book by book with a strategy behind each one. That takes longer than a sales pitch will ever tell you. I'd rather tell you now than have you find out the hard way. So if any of the following sounds like you, then FPA is probably not the right fit for you right now. You expect to see meaningful royalties in the first 30 days. That's not a realistic timeline for this model. You're not in a financial position yet to invest in what's needed for this, like maybe ghostwriters, tools, or your own education. There are real costs to getting started, FPA being one of them, but also the working capital to produce books. The finances aren't there yet. The honest advice is to wait until they are. You need total creative control over every word of every book. There's nothing wrong with that, but FPA's model is built around a publishing business, not a creative writing practice. Those are real disqualifiers, and I won't pretend they aren't. But if none of those apply to you, then the picture looks very different. So Jane here, she was a single mom on food stamps. She had no publishing experience, no writing background, nothing she could point to and say, that's why I was ready for this. But what she had was a willingness to follow the steps and keep going. She went from zero to reporting $60,000 a month in royalties. Now she works from home, owns her home, and does it all in her pajamas. That kind of outcome isn't typical, but it's also not a fluke. It comes from the right person doing the right things consistently. Jane was that person. So who is this actually built for? FPA is a strong fit for you if you want to build a real, sustainable, home-based business. You are willing to invest time and money upfront for the chance to build something that has long-term royalty potential. You are coachable enough to follow a proven system before trying to customize it. You don't need to be a writer. If running a publishing business appeals to you, but the idea of writing 50,000 words does not, then FPA is built for you. And you don't need any background to do this, not even a writing background. About 5% of our students come from a writing background. The other 95% came in with no prior writing experience whatsoever, and that didn't affect their result. Mick is a good example of that. He dropped out of high school at 16. He was living with his mom. He had no degree degree, no publishing background, or any sort of pre-existing skills or advantages that make it easy for him to succeed in this. He just followed the steps. His best month to date came in at $25,000 in royalties. He's moved into his own place. He's now out earning the teachers that he never finished school under. So if you have no writing experience or no obvious advantages, it's not a problem. We've spent over 10 years refining the system. What matters is you execute the steps consistently. FPA has been around since 2015. We've been featured in USA Today, Forbes, Maxim, Women First, Tech Times, and more than 30 other publications. Programs that overpromise and underdeliver don't last a decade. If something in you is saying this might be it, the next step is the free training. The free training is a full walkthrough of the FPA publishing system. So you'll learn how you can quickly and easily get started in this business and have ebooks on Amazon making money for you in the least amount of time. It's around 90 minutes and I've designed it so it's got just the right amount of content that you can implement right away. And no, you don't need a credit card to watch it, so there is nothing to cancel. At the end of the training, there is an invitation to apply to FPA. You'll see how to apply if it feels right. So the link is in the description, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll see you in the free training.